Hey, welcome to this YouTube channel. My name is Mark Harvey, and I'm going to give you my eye-opening lessons and learnings from being in isolation during this lockdown. Hey, it's good to see that you're watching this video. Hit the subscribe button and make sure you turn on the notifications bell because we've got a lot more value coming your way. I wanted to share with you what my learnings. It's been such an eye-opening experience. This whole lockdown, coronavirus, COVID-19, being in isolation. What do you think? Write in the comments. I want to hear from you. What's been your experience? What's been your eye-opening learnings and lessons? Well, on this video, I'm going to give you the insights that's going to spur you on to actually pull out the learnings, because that's what we've got to look at. There's a lesson in everything, and you just got to make that decision. Are you open to every lesson that comes your way? So the first eye-opening learning for me during this isolation is that I got lazy and complacent. Now, don't get me wrong, and I might be just saying this to make myself feel good, but I was still taking action. I was still moving forward. Things were still progressing. But the way how I was just relying on everything working, the way it was working and thinking everything was hunky-dory, I'd got lazy and I was complacent. And this made me realize that, oh wow, actually, there is so much more that I am able and capable of. And I think if you're watching this video and you're actually spending the time going through, wanting to educate yourself, wanting to get the insights to help you experience more, then you know that you're capable of much more. You know, what level of your potential do you feel that you're working at right now? And I feel this actually made me look inwards. This whole experience of being in isolation, give me the time to think, give me the time to reflect, forced me to make changes. What made me realize, oh wow, yeah, I've got to pull my finger out in this area. Oh, and this area. I've got to get on top of this area. So I think it may have done the same for you too. One of the main things of being in isolation that made me realize, operating the way I was operating before all of this happened, I'd lost some creativity. I'd lost creativity. I wasn't being creative. You know, it's too easy, no matter what it is. Like if I wanted to entertain myself, if I wanted to have some rest time, if I wanted to meet with business partners, there's no creativity. It was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the cinema. I'm just gonna go here. It's so easy just to go to a restaurant. And there's no creativity. There's no creativity of, hey, what is it that we need to do? And this really open my eyes and allow me to be like, oh, hey, okay, so if I'm just within my land, my property here, then what is it? I've got to start being creative. I've got to entertain myself. I've got to entertain the children. The children are not at school. So I've got to start getting creative. I've got to start building things. I've got to start planning little games and coming up with games. I've got to find new creative ways to be able to do business, continue the progress of all the people that we've been training, coaching, and mentoring. So that creativity was lost, a big eye-opener. So I want to hear from you, the comments. Do you relate to this? Are you relating to the whole creativity thing? It wasn't creative. We just almost was on autopilot before. So I'm glad and grateful for this wake-up call. Also, a big eye-opener is, and I think this is a common thing all the time, it's like, was taking things for granted. Like all the things I was taking for granted. Even just simply the power that's gained from being out, being able to give someone a hug, have that conversation, just go to a shop, just go to a restaurant, just like, oh my goodness, you know, just taking for granted that shops were open because normally they're open. And now either they're not open or their hours have changed or they're reduced, and they're taken for granted. The electricity, the internet. I mean, some of you, fortunately, I didn't experience any of this due to being in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I'm living in 1,500 acres of land on this private estate where I don't think there's much competition for the internet. But I know some people are telling me that sometimes the internet, so we just take that for granted. But then when everybody's jumped on it, it's like, oh wow, now I realize how awesome the internet has been for me, but also how important it is right now because it's our way of communicating, right? Another massive eye-opener, and I want to hear from you in the comments, so comment here. But it made me realize that actually I'm not spending the time and valuing the relationships. I was moving from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing with, you know, training events and coaching and dealing with property businesses and other team members and children and all of this. And actually it's opened my eyes to actually spend the time focus the time with loved ones, focus the time in being actual communication, because having to communicate through the internet and video calls and all of this has opened my eyes and made me realize I've got to value the relationship. I've actually got to communicate here. It's not like being in the room with, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 people and you can kind of just bounce between conversations and almost get distracted. You've got to zoom in, you've got to focus on the relationship. So that was a big eye-opening learning for me. So I think right now this is a great foundation for us to build. I mean, everyone's been talking about, yeah, build my business, take my business online, and I've heard all kinds of, you know, different versions of different stories of what people are doing. But I think if we can just hit the reset button and use this as a wake-up call to start getting creative, making sure we're valuing our relationships, that we're not getting complacent, we're not getting lazy, that we're actually willing to go out there and do what is required for us to enjoy the process to get to our results and our outcomes. So if this has been useful, hit the subscribe button. I want to hear you commenting. Let me know what it is that you want to know, or what it is you want to learn next, what it is that you're most struggling with. What's your problems? What's your issues? Let us know in the comments. Hit the like button, share it with your friends, and never forget that you've got to do the right thing for the right reasons, because that's the only way you're going to discover your true potential.